Naira crisis is about to assume a dimension that may elicit reaction capable of putting the government on our toes. The only opportunity for Nigerians to effect a peaceful change in the leadership of the country is the general election. What are the steps taken by the electoral umpire, INEC, to ensure free, peaceful, fair and acceptable election next month? All this will come your way in today's edition of Dateline. Stay tuned to Dateline today, and I want to say it's going to be an enjoyable encounter. Good evening and welcome. Babatunde Bolatito is my name. Now, the hard news segment. A few days after the Kaduna State Governor, Nasser El-Rufai blamed some persons he described as the fifth columnist for the persistent fall and narrow scarcity in the country, chairman of the Southern Nigeria Governors Forum and Ondo State Governor, Rotimi Akeredolu, has called on President Muhammadu Buhari to address the issue before it snowballs into a crisis. Governor Akeredolu said the people are compelled to live under excruciating pains occasioned by naira and fuel scarcity. He added that some unscrupulous elements are behind the scarcity in the distribution chain of both fuel and naira notes. According to him, the struggles and actual fight recorded in banking halls, automated teller machine, point of sale device, and markets across the country are quite disquieting. While the Apex Igbo Social Cultural Organization Ohanes Indigo Youth Council Worldwide, by its national president, Mazi Oku Nnabuike, alerted the federal government of a looming nationwide chaos if it does not put an end to the hardship and poverty Nigerians are facing as a result of the redesign of naira notes and acute shortage of fuel. In the meantime, the Central Bank of Nigeria needs to be more proactive in combating the effect of the ongoing hoarding of new naira notes and cash swap that could lead to total economic paralysis. A social critic, Mr. Olusegun Lano, will disclose this after featuring on OSBC TV current affairs program Saturday Morning Treat, urged the CBN governor, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, to allow the free flow of currency in circulation for commercial purposes. He speaks.
Our currency has become a commercial commodity, which is being bought within our own boundaries. It doesn't portend a good omen to the economy. It has adverse effects on the economy, skyrocket inflation, and the root cause is not far-fetched. It is the poor management, the poor implementation of the Naira redesign policy of the CBN. If you want to redesign the Naira, a deadline is not necessary. It is better to allow the two currencies, the old and the new, to coexist indefinitely without any deadline. And you can gradually mop up the old notes through the banking system. If you do that for a while, then because of those who will not bring the old notes to the bank, those people that are keeping every amount in their homes, it is then you can now introduce a deadline at the end of the day, at long run. Without controlling the supply and the circulation of the new note, you create scarcity. And normally when a commodity is scarce, people will be willing to buy it. People will be eager to sell. Those who want to profiteer, who lack the fear of God, who want to profiteer, they want to sell it. As free as water is, if there is scarcity today, you will buy it if it is offered to you.
Mr. Lama enjoined the Apex Bank to give incentive to the patronage of cashless policies by improving network system and lowering the bank charges. He speaks.
Because the CBN is trying to do two different things at the same time. You want to promote cashless culture in Nigerians. That's a cultural thing. You call it culture. It is not something you can achieve through a deadline spontaneously. It will take time, and there are things you have to put in place, alternatives, incentives for people to prefer cashlessness, like removing the cost of transfer, like making the applications for transfer efficient, and if possible making laws that will make victims of app malfunctioning to deserve compensation by the banks. That if you make a payment, of course we have some laws like that. If you make a payment and it is not successful within a limited time, you have the right to make claim for compensation from the bank, so that the banks can sit up and do the needful. You are supposed to put all those things in place first before you can now gradually, even without telling anybody, you can gradually withdraw or mop up physical cash in circulation through the banking system.
Mr. Olusegun Lano speaking there. Independent marketers of Premium Motor Spirit, popularly called petrol, are getting set to shut down operation beginning from tomorrow once the government starts the enforcement of 195 per litre pump price. It was gathered that the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Oil Marketers Association of Nigeria, Depot and Petroleum Product Marketers Association of Nigeria, Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, security agencies, and the downstream regulator are all agreed that petrol be sold at 195 naira per litre. Oil marketers said agreement was reached at a meeting in Abuja as participants resolved that beginning from tomorrow the pump price of petrol should not exceed 195 naira per litre, a development with dealers, particularly independent marketers, described as tough due to high depot price of the commodity. They said that to avoid having their outlets sanctioned, many filling stations operated by independent marketers should be shut, as it made no business sense to sell a product lower than the cost price. IPMAN National President Debo Ahmed stated that the approved depot price of petrol was recently raised from 148 naira per litre by the NNPCL to 172 naira per litre, but depot hardly displays the commodity at this cost. Osun State Governor Senator Ademola Adeleke has assured residents of Peter Ademola Street in Adelekuwado area of Osogbo that the state government will fix the road leading to the area, as he called on Christians in the state to continue to pray for peace and stability of the state and Nigeria at large ahead of the general elections coming up less than 3 weeks now. Senator Adeleke made a call while addressing Christian brethren at the 20th anniversary of Christ Apostolic Church Mountain of Grace at Adelekuwado, Osogbo. Governor's Office correspondent Abraham Adekunle has more of the report.
Addressing the congregation, Osun State Governor Senator Ademola Adeleke promised that the state government under his administration will fix the Peter Ajibola Road as a way of making life more bearable for residents.
Especially as a governor, all that to be better. So for now, we can to that inside that new majesty. All of it in that bed. Change it in the best one. And we'll at the best, you go to Dubai. Things are laying on, saying it to the state government. I want you to put it down. I'm not sure about it.
In his preaching at the church, Reverend Bumi Denyo emphasized the need for Christians to always appreciate God and give thanks, saying thanksgiving attracts divine favor for mankind. He enjoined members of the public to be obedient to the administration of Governor Adeleke for them to be blessed by God. Speaking on the anniversary theme, The Great God, the preacher read from Exodus 3 verse 14, saying that people of Osun State should be rest assured that God is able to do all things, adding that God has promised to be with all those who rely on him. He therefore urged them to always rely on God. Reverend Jenyo lauded the governor for embarking on sinking of boreholes in each ward's revitalization of primary healthcare facilities across the state, among others, described the governor as a leading light. Speaking with OSBC News, the church planter, Prophet William Adeyemo, said the church that was planted 20 years ago today has 7 branches spread across Ede, Ifon-Osun, Ibokun, Ilaun, Ejigbo, Ilemowu, and Orioke Majiyamo. The prophet called on church members to be Christians and believers. At the same time, on the forthcoming general election, Prophet Adeyemo called on Nigerians to be prayerful and vote for credible candidates that will not prolong the ravaging hunger, economic hardship, insecurity, and unemployment.
I want them to believe in God. Everything will go well. Let us be prayerful and stand in the rock of God, so that at the end we will be the survivor.
In her remark, one of the congregants in the church, Mrs. Oluwakemi Shijuade, said the church has continued to work stronger under Prophet Adeyemo, who she described as a lover of Christ and a man of God, guided by Holy Spirit. Prayers were offered for the administration of Governor Ademola Adeleke, the state, and Nigeria at large. On the entourage of the governor were the secretary to the state government, Alhaji Teslim Igbalaye, Honorable Maruf Ayofe, among others. It has been Abdurrahim Adekileku reporting.
A cleric, Dr. Kone Saleh, today lamented the state of affairs in Nigeria, which he noted as continuing to inflict hardship and suffering on the citizens. Saleh, who is the President Plateau State Baptist Conference, blamed the situation on bad leaders, describing it as regrettable and critical to the people. He charged Nigerians not to joke with the 2023 general elections, insisting that the only way to bring a positive turnaround in the affairs of the country is for Nigerians to ensure the enthronement of credible leaders during the forthcoming election. He said, it has not been well with Nigeria, adding that every sphere of our national life has been depleted by the day. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Mohammed Musa Bello, has ordered the arrest of some federal housing authorities officials and the developer of the 2-story building that collapsed in Abuja. He said no fewer than 24 persons were trapped in the collapsed building at 6 Vernon Avenue, Gwarinpa Estate, with 3 confirmed dead and 21 rescued. Coordinator of Abuja Metropolitan Management Council, Umar Shuaibu, revealed that minister's order to security agencies during a press briefing. He said the minister issued an arrest warrant for manslaughter against the developer, the FHA overseer of the development, the officer in charge of issuing development permission, and the engineer supervising the project. The federal government has expressed readiness to partner with the Indian government on total eradication of fake Nigerian passports into India. The Minister of Interior, Mr. Ralph Arebeshola, said this in a statement issued by the Deputy Director of Press and Public Relations in the Ministry, Mr. Afadia Jibola, in Abuja. According to him, Arebeshola made this known while receiving an Indian High Commissioner to Nigeria, Mr. Gagandran Balasumaramanian, in Abuja. The minister said that Nigeria will ever remain grateful to the government and people of India for their support to Nigeria during the country's anti-colonial struggle that led to independence. Arebeshola pledged Nigeria's full cooperation with India through its immigration service to put a stop to the activities of those he described as unscrupulous persons and syndicates engaging in fraudulent procurement of fake official Nigerian traveling documents to enter India illegally. Arebeshola, however, applauded the Indian representative for technical assistance through scholarships and professional courses training as part of partnership cooperation. President Muhammadu Buhari today condemned attacks on vigilantes at Yagoje Forest in Chibia local government area of Katsina State, where many lives were lost. The insurgents ambushed a convoy of vigilantes in the forest as they went to recover stolen cows In a statement issued by its media aide, Madam Garba Shehu in Abuja, the president paid tribute to the vigilantes and their family members, adding that the sacrifices of the brave men who are working to prevent and punish crime in their communities will not be forgotten. The president condoled the bereaved families and prayed Allah for repose of their soul. Now welcome to our sports segment. Retired Super Eagles striker Obafemi Martin's son, Kevin Martin, has signed his first professional contract at Italian Serie A club Monza. Kevin's father, Obafemi Martin, has an excellent career. He played in the Serie A for Inter Milan, in the Premier League for Newcastle United, in the La Liga with Levante, Bundesliga with Wolfsburg, before moving to the United States of America and China in the twilight of his career. Kevin worked as an attacker, joined AC Milan Academy before switching to Inter Milan in 2018. He then rose to ranks before switching to Monza. Reports say that despite his father's nationality, Kevin had played for the Italian under-15 team and has a goal to his name after 3 games. Kevin can still switch to play for Nigeria later in life. Monza announced that Kevin has signed his first professional contract at the club, which will last till June 2024. But Martin took to social media to share his excitement. Now to our following story. Pope Francis has ended a trip to South Sudan with an impassioned plea for peace and forgiveness in the war-torn country. Details of these and other stories from the world are packaged by Abdul Adebisi of our foreign desk.
The Pope made the appeal today as he presided over an open-air mass attended by 100,000 people on the grounds of a mausoleum for South Sudan's liberation hero, John Garang, in the capital Juba. He urged worshippers, including the country's president and his opponent, to reject the blind fury of violence. Pope Francis also called for an end to tribalism, financial wrongdoing, and the alleged corruption at the root of many of the country's problems, while advising attendees to build good human relationships as a way of curbing the corruption of evil, the disease of division, the filth of fraudulent business dealings, and the plague of injustice. The visit marked the first time in Christian history that leaders of the Catholic, Anglican, and Reformed traditions conducted a joint foreign trip with the Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby, leader of the Global Anglican Communion, and Lane and Hayam Grenshade. Pakistan's former military ruler, Pervez Musharraf, has died in Dubai, aged 79, after a long illness. The army source said that senior military chief expressed heartfelt condolences on sad demise of General Pervez Musharraf. A senior security official says the four-star general died in hospital in Dubai this morning. General Musharraf seized power in 1999 in a bloodless coup after the then Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif tried to dismiss him as army chief, having appointed him above more senior officers a year earlier. In more than 7 years in office, he oversaw a stint of economic growth while dodging at least 3 assassination attempts. A Kenya court has handed long prison sentences to a former police officer, 2 serving ones and their civilian informant for the 2016 murder of human rights lawyer Willie Kimani. The judge, Jesse Lezit, said the court finds the murder most foul with its meticulous planning and execution. Kimani, his client Josephat Mwanwa, and their driver Joseph Mururi were killed shortly after filing a complaint of police brutality. Mwanwa, a motorbike taxi driver, accused lead defendant Frederick Lehima of shooting him for no reason at his at a traffic stop in 2015. At the time of his death, Kimani was working for International Justice Mission, a global legal rights group that helps investigate and document police killings and brutality. Their bodies were later recovered from a river outside the capital, Nairobi. Abdul Jalil Adebisi, OSBC News.
We now go on a short break. Deadline continues in a moment. You're welcome back. The newly redesigned Naira notes, no doubt, are currently scarce in circulation. However, the currencies are found in large quantities with traders who sell the money at exorbitant prices to customers. In this Deadline report, Oluchi Amuda examines the implications of scarcity of the Naira notes on the economy, most especially as the Department of State Services revealed the arrest of syndicates trading the Naira. Her report.
The controversies surrounding the scarcity of the redesigned Naira notes have become more intense following the inability of commercial banks to put enough cash in the various automated teller machines, ATMs, across the country for customers to withdraw. The scarcity has now created another means of extortion of the public as traders now sell the new notes as social functions for those who indulge in spraying money. The situation was compounded by the revelation made by the Department of State Services, DSS, that it arrested some syndicates holding the money and selling them to POS operators who have equally increased their charges on withdrawal made by customers. A legal practitioner, Mr. Olufemi Ayadokun, described the act as unlawful. He stated that holding and selling of Naira notes in black market is against the act that established the Central Bank of Nigeria.
If you counterfeit in currency, the DSS are out now to apprehend those who do that. The EFCC is also out to apprehend those who do that. It will attract appropriate jail sentences under the criminal laws. But by virtue of Section 20 of the CBN Act, it is illegal, it is counterfeiting, racketeering in money. But too many times, we close our eyes to these things because of what we find on ground. Look at those who they call the black market in terms of foreign exchange. What they are doing is illegal, it's unlawful. But you discover that that window is there because citizens cannot easily access foreign exchange through the CBN or the deposit money banks. And you know, the law of demand and supply will come into play. So those ones have the forex and folks go to them to buy when they can't get it at the bank.
Speaking in the same vein, a retired teacher, Chief Wale Oyeniyi, noted that Nigerians are being subjected to needless and avoidable sufferings, adding that the economy is worse for it. According to Chief Oyeniyi, the extension of the deadline for the swapping of old Naira notes with the redesigned notes will not yield any positive impact, so long as the old Naira notes still remain in circulation.
There's one novel which I read when I was a student in University of Ibadan, Cry the Beloved Country. We are in trouble with this country. We are in serious trouble. It means it's not only the leaders that are having problems, even the followership, everybody is having problems. All of us are having problems. That's not the case. How can you add crisis to already crisis-ridden people? We have been traumatized already. We have been disillusioned already. So I think these people now, they are being callous, But the whole thing is caused by the central bank, and the government in power. They are to be blamed. If they are to change the money, since you've announced, you're supposed to be bringing out the new currency, not that you're that to be holding it.
It will be recalled that the Central Bank of Nigeria recently announced the extension of the deadline for swapping of old Naira notes with the redesigned notes till the 10th of February against the initial date of 31st of January. The CBN governor, Godwin Emefiele had argued that the extension of the deadline was to allow the Apex Bank map up more old notes from circulation, adding that several billions of naira are still stashed away in people's homes. A financial expert, Mr. David Awutipo, maintained that the Apex Bank is saddled with the responsibility of overseeing the monetary policy of the country, and mopping up excess money in circulation would help stabilize the value of the naira and make the job of the CBN easier. They, however, frowned at the way the CBN is going about implementing its cashless policy by inflicting hardships on the masses, most especially as the scarce new naira notes are found in abundance at social events and with POS operators who have increased their charges from 10 to 20%.
The CBN has to do more monitoring on the commercial banks. There has been a lot of allegation that the commercial banks are hoarding or sometimes selling off the new notes, which is not expected. So if the allegation is actually correct, I think the CBN need more monitoring on the commercial banks to ensure that the money being paid out on the counter and likewise on the ATM machines are new notes. That's the best way we can have to ensure the money gets circulated.
Speaking in the same vein, another expert, Mr. Abolarinwo Latunde, called on the Apex Bank to monitor the way the new notes are being disbursed by commercial banks and prevent them from getting into the wrong hands.
If they want to do this, there should be enough time, because as they are retrieving the old notes, no substantial or no corresponding amount of the new notes to replace the old. So it means the CBN and the federal government, they are not prepared for this exercise, because if they, as part of the monetary policy to control the excess money in the circulation, if they know that it's 3 million or 3 billion in the circulation, they should already have another new 3 billion new naira notes. So as they are retrieving the old, they will be pumping now out the new notes.
They called on the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, Department of State Services, DSS, as well as other security agencies to clamp down on syndicates hoarding the new notes for selfish gains and save Nigeria's economy from total collapse. Oluchi Amuda, OSBC News.
President Muhammadu Buhari recently announced that he should be given 7 days to sort out the problems associated with the redesign of the Naira notes. We are keeping our fingers crossed, hoping that the promise by President will be fulfilled and Nigerians will enjoy the new Naira notes. The nationwide mock accreditation exercise organized by the Independent National Electoral Commission to test on the efficiency of the viewers was carried out in some 12 selected polling units in all the senatorial districts in Osun State. Osun resident Electoral Commissioner Dr. Mutu Agboke would describe the exercise as satisfactory, reiterated INEC's commitment towards conducting free, fair, credible, and acceptable election. Our reporter, Oluwatobiloba Muga, now reports.
Development of technology in different countries of the world to the electioneering process has recorded an enormous impact. In Nigeria, one of the recent technological innovations introduced by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, is the Biometric Voter Accreditation System, BVAS, for election process in the country. INEC, the body statutorily saddled with the responsibility of overseeing the electioneering process in Nigeria, has announced that it is poised towards ensuring credibility in the process. According to the INEC chairman, Mahmoud Yakub, the nationwide mock accreditation exercise was aimed at reaffirming the efficacy of the Biometric Voter Accreditation System, BVAS, which will be deployed in the forthcoming general elections.
Most Nigerians are more familiar with the Bimodal Voter Accreditation System, the BVAS, which doubles as accreditation device as well as the upload of polling unit level result sheets on election day on or to the INEC result viewing portal, the IREV, in real time. These innovations have increased transparency and public confidence in the electoral process. They are also part of the legal requirement for conducting elections in Nigeria.
According to the Osun State President Electoral Commissioner, Dr. Mutio Agboke, who described the bimodal voter accreditation system, BVAS, as a system that combines fingerprint and face biometrics for identity verification of voters, added that the BVAS integrates the three-stage voting process during election.
It is called bimodal because it uses two entities to identify you. It uses your faces to identify you and also your fingerprint. That is the buy that is there. Unlike the smart card reader that we were using before now, that could only identify you with your fingerprint. But because we discovered that if on election day you are rejected by your fingerprint, there should be an opportunity for an alternative for you. That is why the usual of face was introduced to you. So, is it that way? If your facial is rejected, your fingerprint must not be rejected.
While speaking on the mock accreditation exercise, Dr. Agboke, who described the exercise as satisfactory, reiterated INEC's commitment towards conducting free, fair, and credible election. Osun boss, who noted that the mock accreditation exercise is part of the preparations of the Commission towards the conduct of the 2023 general elections, added that aside the BVAS machine, the Commission has applied several technological innovations to manage the electoral process, highlighting them to be INEC Result Viewing Portal, IREV, separate portals for nomination of candidates, accreditation of election observers, accreditation of the media for elections, and for nomination of polling agents, among others.
INEC created, the result viewing portal for members of the public. That platform, the IREV, the portal, where after you have announced the result at the polling unit, the PO uses the BVAS to transmit the result into the portal for public viewing. That is also to ensure the sacredness and certainty of the result. These are the things that we have introduced. Not only that, before now, the accreditation of observers, journalists, recruitment of our staff were all manuals before now. So they had to go to portal, they had to register, they had to, make sure they do everything online. Even for political parties, to submit the names of those that emerge through the primaries, it's through the portal. These are the technological inventions that we brought in.
Some of the voters who participated in the mock accreditation exercise, including Mr. Oladipo Atoyebi and Mrs. Oluwa Yemi Ajayi, among others, maintained that the process was smooth and less stressful, adding that they got accredited between 10 seconds to 30 seconds.
It's a good thing. In fact, I thought as I was coming, is what will take my time. It's a short and very interesting process. The mock is nice.
We are expecting it to be more effective than this.
The Presidential and National Assembly elections are slated for the 25th of this month, while the governorship and state houses of assembly elections will come up on the 11th of next month. Oluwa Tobiloba Odunuga for Dateline.
Wish Nigeria the best of luck as it approaches the election in February. That ends Dateline on OSBC TV. Production assistant is Abu Jalil at DBC. Babatunde Bolatito is my name. Thank you for watching. Good night.